going to have some words from our executive director, Master Johnny Cardenas Cornelio. Class for her, please.
Dr. Dear Jose Carlos Rayon, Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Human Science, dear teachers of the Language Center, also the students of the course of instructors as a foreign language, the undergraduate students, and everybody who are here to attend the class that is going to be given by Susan Holden, an expert in ELT area. Okay. It's a pleasure then to have Dr. Jose Carlos Rayon here for his presence to open this conference. Yes, entitled Teaching English Today, Context and Perspectives, and for whom I ask a thunderous applause. Okay? The event is going to last just 2 hours and a half. So please, I'd like you to turn off yourself so we can have a very active class, right? We also want to thank to SBS Services, Book Services, for its permanent support in the academic area by providing not only with excellent speakers, but also updated bibliography and materials for language teaching in almost all the languages this Language Center offers. Okay, here then, with all these welcoming words, let's go over the second point, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Now we are going to have some words from Dr. Jose Carlos Bayon Vargas, Dean of the Faculty of Arts. Class for him, please.
Visita de la profesora que posee una larga experiencia. Agradecemos la ayuda en la educación y entrenamiento del profesor de idioma inglés. Creo que esta es una tarea importantísima que lo sabemos fundamentalmente por el centro de idiomas de la facultad, ¿no? La demanda en inglés es una de las más masivas, la más masiva, si mal no recuerdo, dentro de los jóvenes y profesores que asisten a nuestros cursos. Lo mismo sucede en el caso ya de los cursos curriculares que se vienen dando en el conjunto de la universidad. Gracias por su presencia. Los felicito por traer a una persona tan experimentada en este entrenamiento. Creo que todos la vamos a aprovechar en esta facultad para mejorar la calidad de nuestra enseñanza. Bueno, como se dice, de carrera laboral. Muy gracias.
We are sad that Doctor is going to leave us today to continue with his papers. Thank you very much for being here with us. Okay. All right. So let's go to the point this time. I'm going to give you all the data you have. As you know, Susan Holden has a long and varied experience as a teacher, trainer, editor of a teacher's magazine, Net, publisher and author of various international teachers, methodology, and also titles and textbooks. All these wonderful experiences enable her to design an important course that is going to be shared this morning. Okay? And she doesn't only work in UK, she also has a vast experience working overseas. Alright? So let's start listening to her, everything she has to share with us. Okay, you can start by your
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thunderous applause for her.
Thank you very much. And it's lovely to be here in Lima again. I was last here 10 years ago, which is far too long a gap. So it's very nice to be able to spend even just 2 or 3 days here. And as you said, I have travelled a lot around the world. I've worked in various countries, and it's always nice to come back to a place. It's interesting the first time you go to a place, but when you come back, you remember things. And the thing I'd forgotten about Peru, Lima, was the way you greet each other. It is so nice to be greeted with a kiss. I really like that, so I will be coming back. I gave the talk a rather strange title, and can we make the... You should be seeing the title there. Yes, you are. Okay, can't see the wood for the trees. That's a fairly common English idiom. Does anybody know what it means? If I say to you, oh gosh, I can't see the wood for the trees, what do I mean? Anybody like to suggest anything? We do have a little mic that can go round if you want to suggest. You said, yes, there are problems, you can't see them, maybe you can't quite see where you're going, that in the world there are lots and lots of problems, and you think you know where you're going, but sometimes trees get in your way. And it seems to me that sometimes when we're teaching, we sort of know where we're going. We know what we want our students to learn. If we're training teachers, we want to know, we want to help them to become good teachers. But sometimes lots of things get in the way. And the thing that made me reflect on this was that 2 years ago, I was asked by the owner of SBS in Brazil to think about a book I first wrote 20 years ago. Now, 20 years is eternity for some people. For some of you, well, I won't ask you if you can remember what you were doing 20 years ago. I wrote a methodology book for Latin America just about 20 years ago. And what I was doing was trying to suggest to teachers ways of fitting their teaching to the needs of their students. And this, in fact, is what I had to do 2 years ago when I started revising this. And I suddenly felt that there were a lot of trees around, because 20 years ago, teaching seemed much simpler. Maybe I was naive. I was much younger then, so maybe I was full of enthusiasm and so on. But I had a very worried few weeks thinking, but there's this problem, and this problem, and this problem, and this problem, and how on earth can I produce something to help students and teachers and trainee teachers teach, learn, not just for now, but also for the future? Because I decided the thing that has changed the world most for us is this thing. It was interesting when I came into the room this morning, there were maybe 6, 8, 10 people sitting in different parts of the room, and each person was doing that. And we do it. This is part of our lives now. Now, if it's part of our lives as people, then it's probably part of our lives as teachers, and it's certainly going to be part of our students' lives. And I don't think we can ignore this. So, books, really important. Digital, also important. So, I began to think about some of the possible problems there were for teachers, and I live in a house with a very big garden. And I was looking out of the window thinking, how on earth can I revise this book? And I was looking at the trees. And I thought each of those trees is a bit like a problem when you're teaching. Now, there's a tree there which looks perfectly normal. This is a garden in Scotland, I may say. I live in Scotland. And I don't have a Scottish accent, in case you're wondering. My father was Scottish, my mother was a mixture of Welsh and English, so I'm very typically British. I make a bit of everything. I looked at those trees, and they're quite nice, but they actually, for me, that photo represents danger, because this time last year, I was going to a conference in Poland, in the east of Europe, and I arrived at the airport, and imagine yourself, you've been on a flight, you're in a foreign country, I don't speak Polish, I was wondering how I was going to get on. You're waiting in the airport for your luggage to come round on that long thing, and suddenly your phone goes. And I thought, strange, who's phoning me now? And it was a friend from Scotland saying, Susan, I'm very sorry about your tree. And I thought, am I dreaming this? Is this a nightmare? What on earth is this person talking about? Here I am in Poland. And I said, what's the matter? And she said, well, there was a storm last night and your tree fell down. So this tree fell like that. And the problem is that on this side of the garden, there's a path that goes to the primary school. And the kids and their parents have to walk up there, and the teachers have to walk up there every morning. And I was in dead trouble because my tree was blocking the path, and I won't go on. But something that looks nice, a new idea in teaching, a new textbook, needs investigating before you think, yes, that's for me, that's a positive thing, or interesting, but not quite for me. So trees I thought were quite useful because they do suggest various things. That's another tree that has a meaning for me. That's also in the garden. It's a quince tree. I don't know what quince is in Spanish, and I've even forgotten in Italian. But they're little orange fruit, and they're very delicious. And when we bought the house, quite a long time ago, we wanted one of these trees to produce fruit. So we bought this tree, and we planted it, and it has lovely blossom in the spring, but it only produces fruit every 5 years. So it's not a very useful tree. And again, in ideas, you know, we can think of a lovely idea, but actually, is it actually going to be useful in everyday teaching? We need to ask questions. Just a few more trees before we really get on to teaching. Trees in a different climate, that's winter in Scotland. I may say the sky is not usually blue, it's usually grey. But again, as we're teaching, we're affected by outside things. Just as the trees are affected by snow and temperature and climate change, we as teachers are affected by the things outside, in the world outside, and our students are affected by things outside. And I think when we're teaching, it's very, very important that we don't only think of what we're doing in the classroom, that we think about language, the use of language in the world outside. So change, really